Class 1 Senior Showmanship should be getting ready in the barn. These exhibitors are Tyler Kilburn, Tegan Tyland, Cruz Cunningham, Reed Etling, Abby Fields, AJ Cunningham, Rowdy Etling, Ava Korsmeyer, and Elizabeth Hauserman.
Test.
We would like to welcome you to our 2026 Lamb Show. Our judge today is Wyatt Biggs. Entering the show arena at this time is our Class 1 Senior Showmanship. These exhibitors are Tyler Kilburn, Tegan Tyland, Cruz Cunningham, Reed Etling, Abby Fields, AJ Cunningham, Rowdy Etling, Ava Korsmeyer, and Elizabeth Hauserman. Judge, this is your class. We need all intermediate showmanship outside of the arena at this time. These exhibitors are Benjamin Florence, Ashlyn Burwinger, Josie Benjamin, Cinder Shaw, Paige Wiles, Silas Cunningham, and Joshua Florence. All beginner showmanship should be getting ready in the barn. These exhibitors are Tanner Perrin, Lorelei Cunningham, Benjamin Galvin, Audrey Johnson, Lindley Jarman, Kristen Sullivan, Ellie Fields, Kylie Neal, Kendall Jett, and Jennifer Sullivan.
Well, good morning, Clermont County. It's a pleasure to be with you and get to evaluate your livestock and young people this morning. I think we're picking just one per division here to come back for your overall champion showmanship honors here before or after all the divisions are over with. I'm going to talk each kid. This isn't necessarily a huge round of kids, so I think, when it boils down to it, and even when it is a little bit bigger, I try to at least give a little piece of positive and a little bit of constructive criticism to each and every one of them as they come in, because no kid wants to leave the show ring and not necessarily know what they did right, but they also need to know what they need to improve on to be able to come back and hopefully be more competitive going forward. Young man up front with the blue sheep, again, probably just a little bit more timid and the way that we approach things. I'd like to see you just a little bit more intense. Hind leg posture probably needs to be tweaked just a smidge. Clarification error on the judge's part. Appreciate the show committee. That's what they're there for, to keep us in line. But we just need to work on those things just a little bit more and being a little bit more confident. The young man standing directly right behind him, and I'm not talking these in necessarily any particular order. I'll go out and select your top five after I get done here describing them on the microphone. But the young man here that comes in right behind him, I think, is just really natural, does a really good job, and in my opinion, showmanship, sometimes we kind of get it mixed up or misconstrued. I think that we try to make ourselves look more prominent than the animal, and your first goal as a showman is to make the animal grab the judge's attention. The young man does a good job of blending in and doing that. That ewe wants to break in her loin just a smidge, and sometimes we can get her just a little bit too stretched out, like to maybe see her front feet just up underneath of her just a little bit better, and maybe not pull on her as much up front to stretch her out. But other than that, you do a really good job. Young man here in the red shirt, another one that I think, again, that sheep maybe gets just a little bit straighter off both ends of his skeleton, which can come in handy if we just want to probably get him stopped in the right spot. But if you don't, then you get him in the too stretched out. Those front feet and those back feet are going to get just a little bit more awkward looking, and they're going to stay locked in place because of the limitations of that particular sheep skeleton. Probably need to work on hand placement just a little bit. Eye contact's good. I think the longer that the drive wears on, your sheep probably stays as consistent in his looks as any. Do an excellent job in terms of eye contact. Keep up the good work and going forward. Young man here in the purple shirt, another one that I think as we just get settled in, we're probably just a little bit too revved up at the beginning, and we're jerking and snatching and trying to get things tweaked and where they need to go as far as leg placement goes. That ewe's another one that breaks in her loin. Maybe you got to scratch her belly or do something to pull her up in her top line just a smidge. She's a little straighter about her hock. Watch getting her too stretched out. As far as control and speed, though, and getting that ewe where she needs to go and being aware and ring cognizant of where I'm at all times, you do an excellent job. Maybe, again, you're a taller gentleman. We've just got to work on probably getting a little bit more natural posture for you to stand and brace with that particular ewe. Young lady here is another one that I think does a great job and is very natural just in terms of her control of the sheep. I kind of consider the head of livestock to kind of be the steering wheel, and she does a really good job of driving that particular project around the ring. Eye contact's good, blending in there is good. Front feet sometimes maybe get a little offset, and we could probably just have a little bit more intensity there to help you as a showman stick out. But as far as doing your jobs and covering the basics, I think you're doing an exceptional job. Young man here in the plaid shirt, another one. If we could probably just take a little bit of your intensity and a little bit more laid-backness of some of the others that we've already talked about and blend them, I think we'd be sitting in a pretty good spot. I like intensity, but at the same time, it can sometimes be interpreted as maybe being a little bit nervous. So just kind of know your job, know your role, relax a little bit in here. Again, you're another one. If you're a taller person, you've got to find the most confident posture, the most comfortable posture for you to be able to stand. If that's bending a little bit more, if it's standing up a little bit straighter, we've got to figure that out going forward. Just watch feet placement, get a little bit more natural hand control there going forward. Get back here at the black sheep or the natural sheep. I think a showman that does an exceptional job as far as getting that one to brace. Eye contact is good. Head control is good. That sheep's hind leg, though, is just never exactly where it needs to be on this show side. And that's a moderate sheep. Obviously, probably needs to be just tweaked a little bit there in terms of its flank line. If we can find a way to maybe touch that sheep's top line to drop it down in its flank and work on that going forward. Other than that, top line composure, neck attachment, and how we showcase that sheep's strengths are an excellent job. Keep up the good work going forward. Young lady here in the pink shirt with the south down appearing sheep, another one that I think is just very natural, very calm. We could probably just move that sheep at a little bit more steady pace as we're getting out and going. I think an underrated part of showmanship that we don't think about, that sheep young lady probably needs to be picked up in her breastplate just a smidge. And as you're walking her around, you've got to make sure that you're keeping her head up and keeping her running uphill instead of running downhill, because that's her first instinct, is to want to maybe kind of just fall into the shavings there and not necessarily look like she's got the balanced look. Now, when you get her picked up there from the profile, everything kind of comes together. We get those front feet just a little bit further out, a little bit straighter down, and square up front. I think we do an exceptional job. Young lady here in the back, sheep's not wanting to cooperate. That just happens. If you've got any say in the matter, sometimes it's hard being the lead sheep. Sometimes it's hard being the sheep that kind of rounds out things in line. We've got to find a way, if you've got any liberty at all, maybe get in the middle of them so that sheep's got something to follow or push behind it. That sheep gets a little stretched at times. I think your brace is good. I think your handle's good. I think your eye contact is good. Your attention to detail is good. Maybe just, again, showmanship going forward. Find a little bit better way to blend those legs in for a presentation perspective on that particular weather. Don't get him stretched out. And, again, just getting that thing to walk a little bit more naturally instead of being so cumbersome for you, I think will do you benefits of good there going down the road. Really good set of showmen here. I'll set the microphone down and go select my top 5 in the order from 1st to 5th. Congratulations to these exhibitors. If you would, please, great way to get us kicked off. Give them a good round of applause.
Congratulations to all of our senior showmanship class winners. In first place, Tegan Tisland. Second place, Ava Korsmeyer. Third place, Rowdy Etling. Fourth place, Reed Etling. And fifth place, Abby Fields. Entering the arena at this time is all of our intermediate showmanship exhibitors. These exhibitors are Benjamin Florence, Ashlyn Burwanger, Josie Benjamin, Cinder Shaw, Paige Wiles, Silas Cunningham, and Joshua Florence. Judge, this is your class. Our judge today is Wyatt Banks. Wyatt Banks is originally from Cynthiana, Kentucky, where he grew up on his family's Red Angus and commercial backgrounding operation. Wyatt attended Lincoln Land Community College, where he was Junior College All-American. Wyatt then finished his judging career and degree in animal science at Kansas State University. Upon graduating from Kansas State, Wyatt pursued a master's in nutrition physiology and served as assistant coach for the livestock judging team. Wyatt now serves as an associate senior for 4-H youth livestock programming in Kentucky and aids in the day-to-day operations in his family joint venture cattle business, 32 West Stock Farm and Walking W Cattle Company. All beginner showmanship should be making their way outside of the arena. These exhibitors are Tanner Perrin, Lorelei Cunningham, Benjamin Galvin, Audrey Johnson, Lindley Jarman, Kristen Sullivan, Ellie Fields, Kylie Neal, Kendall Jett, and Jennifer Sullivan. Pee-wee and adult can be getting ready in the barns.
Getting into this second group of intermediate showmen here. And again, just talking them one at a time in no particular order. The young lady here in the back kind of has to fidget with feet maybe a little bit more, but I love her eye contact, love her intensity, love her attention to detail. And I will say, once she does finally get those feet set up where they need to, and we get that sheep looking the way that it does need to there from the side, she does get the most out of it. We could probably just push back on his head just a nickel. And when we're walking that sheep, we need to find a way to keep his head up, find a little bit more comfortable way for you to brace that sheep standing there. Either stand up a little bit straighter or you're going to have to go lower, one of the two. But we can't be kind of stuck there in the middle. The young lady here in the black shirt, I think that weather has an immense amount of presence just standing there from the side, and you do an excellent job of highlighting that, getting his head up. And that's a sheep that can stand to be stretched out a little bit. He's got a nice hind leg posture. Sometimes, I do think that sheep maybe just gets a little too stretched out up front, and his front feet get to pushing. And while I like the presence in his neck attachment and whatnot, I want to see you get that sheep's nose down and looking just a little bit level or a little bit square. Probably just get a little bit more hand control on that sheep when we're posing him here from the profile. But other than that, good brace, good eye contact. But just be a little bit more confident probably in terms of our body language as a showman and body posture going forward. Young man here with sheep's looking a little full this morning. We could probably pull just a nickel bit of that fill, and I think that would probably help that sheep for sure. Eye contact's good. Getting that sheep to brace is good. Young man, you've got two hands. Use them both. when you're bracing your sheep. Find a way that's comfortable for you, and you don't have to pick them up off the ground. I'm not necessarily one of those judges where you've got to pick them up off the ground to get a good brace on them. But at the same time, use both of those hands, find a comfortable way, find somebody that's a little bit more experienced as far as that goes and learn from them and get better at that there going forward. But you do a really nice job. Young lady here has got a really nice little lightweight wether, one that, again, that I think, we've got to do a better job of probably highlighting that sheep's balance. You're a taller young lady. That's a smaller sheep. We've got to find a way that's comfortable for you to be able to show that sheep and to make sure you get the most out of it as far as that's concerned. Probably position yourself more so around the front of the sheep, pushing back on its head and getting its neck again down just a little bit further back. I think would allow that sheep to just have a little bit more natural presence and keeping its front feet up underneath of it. I think it would make a huge difference. Young man here in the plaid shirt, another one. I think we do a great job as far as bracing goes, a great job in terms of eye contact. Buddy, we look just a little bit nervous out here. We got to be just a little bit more confident and comfortable when it comes to showing our sheep. You do all the basic things right. Probably need to work on not pulling on that sheep's head as much and just using it, again, as just more of a control thing to tweak things. That shouldn't be your main point of contact in terms of just getting that sheep to do every single thing that you want, because the more you pull on its head and neck to go forward, it's going to probably fight you and jerk against you, so we've got to find a way to combat that just a nickel. Young man here in the yellow striped shirt, with the exception of one little blooper, you do an exceptional job. I think your eye contact's good. I think, again, your posture and the way you handle that sheep is good. You could probably come off a little bit more confident. There's times where you just probably hit me a nickel timid, and when the young lady let her sheep out a minute ago, you thought you were going for another route, and you pulled back into her hole. That's just something you can't fall asleep at the wheel. You've got to make sure that you're paying attention at all times and not getting somewhere where you don't need to be, because you almost covered her spot up, and that's where she needed to be, not you. So just work on those things going forward. Don't let your nerves get the best of you and distract you. Young lady here has got an incredible amount of intensity. I think you do a really good job, again, of getting that sheep to brace. Eye contact's impeccable. I think as we're, talking about showmen, you've got enough intensity probably for the whole entire group. And I think if we dialed that back just a little bit, it won't hurt you. I think in the way that you use your hands, once you get that sheep to stand, it took me a while when we were showing pigs as kids to realize just because you've got a whip doesn't mean you have to use it. Just because you've got your hands there, you need to be able to hold them and just keep them propped up, but you don't have to be constantly tapping their back or moving this or moving that. That goes for in motion too. You don't have to touch them the whole entire time. As long as they're going, let them look natural, let them look comfortable. But other than that, I think you do a really, really good job. Really good set of intermediate showmen. Once again, I'll go out here and select your top 5 from top to bottom. Give these kids a big round of applause. We're doing an exceptional job here at the Clermont County Fair.
Congratulations to all of our intermediate showmen. First place, Josie Benjamin. Second place, Ashlyn Burwinger. Third place, Silas Cunningham. Fourth place, Paige Wiles. And fifth place, Joshua Florence. Entering the arena at this time is all of our beginner showmanship. These exhibitors are Tanner Perrin, Lorelei Cunningham, Benjamin Galvin, Audrey Johnson, Lindley Jarman, Kristen Sullivan, Ellie Fields, Kylie Neal, Kendall Jett, and Jennifer Sullivan. Judge, this is your class. All first and second showmanship winners should be making their way outside of the arena. These exhibitors are Tegan Tisland, Ava Korsmeyer, Josie Benjamin, and Ashlyn Burwinger.
Again, I hate for a kid to leave showmanship, but sometimes it just makes more sense to show them rather than it does to tell them over the microphone, because to tell you the honest truth, with all the distractions that a county fair brings, the clapping and the laughter and all the good stuff that comes with being at the annual county fair, it's an awesome experience. But I think sometimes everybody looks at the judge on the microphone and gets overwhelmed with all the words and the things that he says, and the kids sometimes don't take what they need to take away from the county fair, especially if we're talking about this, and if I understand correctly, this is the beginner division. So these are the kids that are needing some tweaks and some things going forward, and we got some of them in here that it's kind of hard to believe that they are beginners as far as that's concerned, but they do a really, really good job. I'm not going to talk each and every one of them like we've already discussed. I'll let the kids go back and tell the parents the little things that I told them to improve on. Each of these kids has an incredible future. Really cool that this is probably the biggest showmanship division thus far. Makes me a little bit more hopeful as we try to grow these programs in 4-H, especially with my position nowadays at the state 4-H office in Kentucky and working at the state 4-H livestock side of things, seeing this kind of grow back and probably get a little bit more regeneration with these kids and bringing more people and recruiting them to being part of the livestock industry, whether they live in town or whether they're from the rural parts of America. I think this is something that everybody can benefit from. I think it's an awesome way for each and one of us for these kids to learn from each other. And I think it's an awesome opportunity to learn some invaluable life lessons. So I'll set the microphone down, go out here and get you a top 5. If you would, please give these kids a big round of applause.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Jerry Waring, president of the Fairboard. I'm coming to all the shows to let you know that in 2027, we will be having a new cattle barn, and the old Gibbons Arena will be torn down, and there will be a new barn there as well. We've had a lot of help. The Humphrey family sponsored the barn. The Wolfer family sponsored the arena. Luke Lickby just stepped up to pay a large part of the new barn that's replacing the Gibbons Arena. And the Clermont County Cattle Association presented us with a check for $5,000 Sunday evening. Also, you'll be getting papers passed around. We're 80% funded. We did receive a $600,000 grant. It's about $1.4 million project. We're about 80% of the way there. So any help we can get in the community will be greatly appreciated, because like the bleachers you're sitting in, they cost $135,000. Thank you.
Congratulations to our beginner showmanship winners. These exhibitors are first place, Audrey Johnson, second place, Ellie Fields, third place, Tanner Perrin, fourth place, Kendall Jett, and fifth place, Lorelei Cunningham.
Well, if you're standing ringside, let's give these kids a huge round of applause. This is an awesome group of showmen. There's an awesome group of showmen that got sent back to the barns, and there that were in your top five, and even those that didn't get placed through top five. I think the kids have been top tier and exceptional, and at the most part, I hope more than anything, even if you did get up towards the top end of your class, or if you didn't get selected to make the pool, I hope that you learned from something. I will say this: showmanship's one of the most subjective things that judges do. Everything that I say will not be necessarily what I would call the gospel. Don't completely overhaul your showmanship program just because one judge says is one thing. The thing is, everybody can do the basic things right, and then it's the minor differences and the differences in preferences between judges that make the difference, probably between winning your class or being second or being champion overall showman and being reserved. So going forward, just stay steady. Keep doing the basic things right, and then add your own little bit of personal, style to that, if you will, and develop your own showmanship kind of culture and whatnot as you go forward. But I'm not going to talk the kids. We've already discussed them, and you've got to hear from me plenty enough the rest of the day on talking some breeding sheep and some market lambs. But if you would, please, it's about them. Let's give them a big round of applause. I'll go out here and select your champion reserve showman.
Congratulations to our Grand and Reserve Champion showmen. Grand Champion Audrey Johnson, Reserve Champion Tegan Tisland. All adult showmanship should be making their way outside of the arena. These exhibitors are Amber Johnson, Tiffany Perrin, Jake Korsmeyer, Warren Murphy, Faith Stegbauer, and Amber Averwater. Pee-wee is now entering the arena. These exhibitors are Stella Fetters, Adeline Johnson, Logan Cunningham, Eleanor Cunningham, Naomi Story, Bryson Beheimer, Jace Smith, Evelyn Wiles, Lila Florence, Joshua Florence, Taylor Perrin, Blake G, and Riley G. All adult showmen, please be making your way outside of the arena.
One thing you can count on with Pee Wee showmanship, there's going to be a lot of personalities, a lot of stories, some that don't want to talk to you, some that would probably talk to you the whole entire rest of the day. I think a bunch of them do a really, really good job. You parents are doing an awesome job. Their siblings, a lot of them are out here with them. This is an incredible industry, and this is probably the most important part is the family aspect and the friends aspect as they're building these connections. There's a lot of kids out there that wouldn't have talked to a complete stranger for the first time today at their age, and I think it's incredible, and it's a testament to you making them comfortable in uncomfortable situations. Continue to do that, but more than anything, again, give these kids a big round of applause. They do an awesome job.
Congratulations to all of our Pee Wee showmen. Entering the arena at this time is all of our adult showmen. Class 1 breeding ewes, please be making your way outside of the show arena. These exhibitors are Tegan Tislin, Rowdy Etling, Audrey Johnson, Kylie Neal, AJ Cunningham, and Lorelei Cunningham.
Well, my associate and I, bringing the champion showman back out here, talking about them, they all do a really, really good job. There's subtle differences, obviously. There's some ties here that I've come to find out. And to avoid, shall we say, county fair politics, there's probably a couple that we're going to have to maybe exclude from the conversation based off their connection with my associate judge. But that's okay. A couple of things, you know. I think that we've got a lot of really good, talented showmen out here. Even the ones that my judge knows, we still respect their ability. We want them to know that 100%. You know, it kind of boils down to two of the gentlemen up here towards the front. The young man in the gray shirt, my associate says, has a really good eye contact, does a really good job of keeping that one braced and steady. Probably could maybe just see him a little bit more intense, I think was the conversation that maybe we were talking about. Young man up front in the black shirt does an exceptional job of getting that one braced. Young lady said that one's got a great shear job, head and neck set, trying to handle it correctly. The only thing that she critiqued you on, you could have been a little bit more gentlemanlike and tucked your shirt in. That's the only thing that she was probably just a little bit nitpicky on. But that's a big picture, first impressions thing again. But I'll set the microphone down, and I'm going to let my associate go out here and pick your champion, and we'll give them a big round of applause. But again, give these people for coming out here and showcasing their skills and also teaching the kids ringside all that they have to know.
Audrey Johnson and Warren Murphy will be representing the sheep department at the shows on Friday. Congratulations. Entering the arena at this time is our Class 1 breeding ewes. These exhibitors are Tegan Tislin, Rowdy Etling, Audrey Johnson, Kylie Neal, AJ Cunningham, and Lorelei Cunningham. Making their way outside of the show arena should be our Class 2 breeding ewes. These exhibitors are Tyler Kilburn, Ava Korsmeyer, Reed Etling, Benjamin Galvin, Silas Cunningham, and Wyatt Wolfer. Class 2 breeding ewes, please be making your way to the show arena. These exhibitors are Tyler Kilburn, Avery Korsmeyer, Reed Etling, Benjamin Galvin, Silas Cunningham, and Wyatt Wolfer. Please be making your way to the show arena.
I think three completely different kinds of sheep, and I'm going to go ahead and preface this for my conversation because I know that there's going to be people ringside after the show. I completely understand it. It's part of the responsibility I take on as a judge in understanding that I'm not going to make everybody happy. I don't want to make everybody happy. I just want you to respect my decision. I'm going to be the first to tell you that there's not a perfect sheep here in the top three, and if we could blend pieces from all three of them, I think that we would have a really, really good class winner to go ahead and absolutely win undeniably. When it comes to making elite pieces, finding a big foot, the roundest rib cage, the best width progression, the most athletic body shape, and then doing it with the highest quality look standing still, I think the natural sheep's the only place to go. That one's the shortest bladed, the most tucked up in terms of its breastplate and chest floor, the roundest out the backside of its blade, and my favorite in terms of its upper pin set and outer leg shape there from the side. Now, address the elephant in the room. My class winner needs to move better. She's a little too far forward in the angle of her shoulder. She's a little straighter about her knee, and I don't know if she's just uncomfortable and it's been a long week at the county fair because standing still, I would not have assumed her skeleton to move the way it does, but she's a little shorter in terms of her hip, a little tighter out of her hock, and consequently wants to work up in her spine. But this view right here, any three-quarter view on that sheep, and from the side standing still, I think that that one's the highest quality in the place to go. The young lady sheep that comes out in second, I think is a nice, happy medium sheep when it comes to body shape and just skeletal width. I think there's more. That's really what separates 2 and 3. This sheep's more genuine in terms of the base of its rib cage, more expression and true dimension and width out the backside of its blade and over its rack. A bigger upper pin set. Again, a sheep that I think is just a little bit more natural in terms of its neck attachment. And between two sheep that could probably both be just a little bit better in terms of their front end assembly. One of them's a little bit longer bladed. One of them needs to be tucked up in terms of their breastplate. I think that this sheep breeds just a nickel shorter in terms of its blade. She's frailer at the ground. She's a little straighter out of her front end. I told the young lady in showmanship, you got to watch that one's hip loin and the straightness to her hock. But I do think that that one's genuine power and dimension is what gives her the upper hand over the sheep that comes out in third. I'm going to be honest with you. When I saw this sheep in showmanship, I thought that the young man sheep would have a really nice one to probably tie to here throughout the day, whatever it showed as. And as the drive wears on, I still like the things that I do about that sheep. Hind leg posture is good. Levelness of hip is good. Collectedness of spine is good. Neck attachment and the way that that one blends from the side is really, really nice. I still like that one's rack shape, but as we funnel back there into its pin set and its loin and stifle, that sheep wedges backwards, or wedges the least progressive, excuse me. I won't say backwards. Wedges the least progressive, gets the flattest in terms of its hip and stifle, and reads just probably the flattest and the most concave there in terms of its rib cage and base width. three really exceptional sheep there on the top end. Like to blend all three of them there to make a go ahead and runaway class winner. The young man sheep that comes out in thirds, big outlined, long bodied, like the extra extension and performance, just a shot more body volume than its contemporaries relative to the three that we just discussed, a little rounder in terms of its shoulder, a little tighter in terms of its hip and hock and plainer in its pattern there from the side. Young lady sheep that comes out there in fifth, I think a sheep that, again, is round in terms of its rib cage, big in terms of its forearm, like its neck attachment, and again, just its sheer mass and power in comparison relative to the sheep that's going to round out the class. Another one that just needs a shot more bone, a shot more feature, and a little bit more attractive and aesthetically pleasing hind leg. Young lady sheep that rounds out the class may have as late a maturing sheep as anything in here. I think there's a lot of opportunity for future growth, like that one's extension, like that one's freshness of condition. Just reads a little bit too hard in terms of its body shape, a little bit too narrow there at the ground, a frailer featured, straighter sheep that to me just doesn't have the extra bloom of maybe some of its contemporaries. Really good class there to start off your youth show. Congratulations to those exhibitors.
Congratulations to our Class 1 breeding ewes. These are first place, Rowdy Etling. Second place, Audrey Johnson. Third place, Tegan Tisland. Fourth place, AJ Cunningham. And fifth place, Lorelei Cunningham. Entering the arena at this time is Class 2 breeding ewes. These exhibitors are Tyler Kilburn, Ava Korsmeyer, Reed Etling, Benjamin Galvin, Silas Cunningham, and Wyatt Wolfer.
Really a competitive pair of sheep up top, and I'm going to be honest with you, I'll call structure a wash in terms of how they move and the limberness out of their hind legs in motion. To me, the young man sheep up front's just got a way more progressive wedge up high. That one handles with a little bit more square shape and aggressive shape there out the back side of its blade. I like that one's foot and bone size, like its extension and the way it ties its neck there high into the top side of its shoulder. Nice flank line, has a nice shot of presence. Want to make sure that that sheep is probably just a little bit stronger there in terms of its hip-loin hookup. Like to see it progress back. While I do think that that one's still the most gradual in terms of its width progression, I do want to see that one probably just come back to a bigger upper pin set just to make everything balance up a little bit better. And again, a sheep that probably needs to stride further out of its front end, needs a little bit more flexibility there built into its hock. But at the end of the day, that one's shorter bladed, more youthful in its look, and in my opinion, again, just the best in terms of the way it comes out the back side of its shoulder and progresses from there on back. Young lady's got a brood ewe that comes out in second that I think has probably got a slight edge there in terms of performance. That's the smoothest blending sheep. Probably reads the strongest there in terms of her spine, specifically there over her hip-loin hookup. I like just how maternal that one is in terms of her body volume and her center rib cage. She's too straight and long in terms of her shoulder blade up front, even though her neck attachment still maintains good. I just need to see that one again be just a little bit tighter there in terms of its breastplate and at the point of its shoulder, shorter, rounder hip sheep that's too tight about its hock. We've got another sheep that comes out in third, a natural that I think is probably as tidy and an extended amount of its front 1/3 as any of the top 3 sheep that we've got. Strong in terms of its spine, like that one's natural hind leg posture. Chest to flank needs to be better as that one just kind of gets drier and shallower there back into the base of its rib cage and back into its flank. Flattens at the base of its leg. I need to see that one just come back with a little bit bigger pin set as well. But a nice sheep that I think has some balancing pieces that just read with a little bit more quality relative to the sheep that comes out in fourth. I think the sheep that comes out in fourth, you can see it standing ringside. That one's big-footed. That one's smooth blending. That one's got a world of good in terms of body volume and just, again, a broody center 1/3 if you want to discuss it. Like the flexibility built into that one's hock. The first impressions are everything, and that's a longer dock view that probably, I just can't get out of my mind that one's probably the flattest tipped and the narrowest pin there of the top 4. I've just got to see that one with a shot more punch and power and spread and bloom and fill there through its midsection. Young Man's brings us another sheep I think that's got a really expressive rack shape, a round body shape. I like that. This one in terms of its shortness of blade and the progression there back into its flank. Nice hind leg posture and the way that it balances here from the side. You know, again, judging apples to oranges here, these sheep probably just read a little bit more immature and behind the 8 ball relative to their contemporaries. Both of the sheep that are going to round out towards the bottom end of this class. I need to see this sheep probably just develop with more time. Relative, again, that one's just a little bit flatter in terms of its leg shape and stifle. Sheep just needs more time to mature and develop. Young man sheep that rounds out the class, bigger boned and bigger footed than the sheep that we just discussed. Long neck sheep. We've got to get that one to relax there in the center of its back. Got to see that one leveler out of its hip and, again, just open it up at the base of its skeleton. Really good set there. Nice class there of second class of breeding ewes. Congratulations to those exhibitors. Let's give them a big round of applause.
Congratulations to our Class 2 breeding ewes. First place, Reed Etling. Second place, Ava Korsmeyer. Third place, Tyler Kilburn. Fourth place, Wyatt Wolfer. And fifth place, Silas Cunningham. At this time, we need all first and second places from Class 1 and 2 to be making their way outside of the show arena. These exhibitors are Class 1, first place, Rowdy Etling. Second place, Audrey Johnson. Class 2, first place, Reed Etling. And Class 2, second place, Ava Korsmeyer.
Young man brings us a really nice single entry natural sheep here. Really late in terms of her maturity pattern. She's genuinely got a big foot size. I don't know if she's necessarily got the bone or the leg shag of maybe some of the others that we've seen today to complement that extra just genuine substance at the surface. Sleek necked, a sheep that I think's got a world of good in terms of length of body and performance. Probably just to see that one filled out would do her a lot more good. She's a little rounder in terms of her hip, a little longer there in terms of her blade. Need to see probably just a little more aesthetically pleasing hind leg posture. But again, I think there's a world of good in a single entry. We'll see how she stacks up in the grand drive. Congratulations to that young man on a high quality single entry. Give all these breeding ewe exhibitors a big round of applause. Again, a high-quality set out of 3 classes. I think we've got 5 respective out sheep, 3 respective class winners here to represent what's going on here at the Clermont County Fair. I'm not going to go ahead and describe them again. I think that there's a world of good in all of these sheep, and I think it's really cool to see. Hopefully these young people implement them back into their own operation and start raising sheep on their own. I judge for a sheep guy. You obviously heard from my bio. I grew up with a cattle background, and I learned to appreciate the species. Grandfather and I kind of operate a little side hustle with some South Downs there back home. So I really, really enjoy the sheep and the small ruminant side of things. It's a blast. And the way that you get to kind of just make them better each and every day as you would in any livestock species. But again, probably a little bit different selection criteria at times in comparison to cattle. There's a little bit more probably of a wow factor here when we get to sheep. And I think it's really fun when you come out here and you study these 5. I think those pieces of extension and elevation and a genuine rib cage and just making the sheep better, freshness and true athleticism, that's really what I'm after, and I think they do a great job of representing that. I'll set the microphone down, go out here and select you a champion reserve. If you would, please stand in ringside. You guys have been a great crowd this morning. Keep it up and give them a good round of applause.
Class 1 market lambs, please be making your way to the show arena. These exhibitors are Cinder Shaw, Lorelei Cunningham, and Lindley Jarman. Congratulations to our Grand and Reserve champion breeding ewes. These exhibitors are Grand Champion Rowdy Etling and Reserve Champion Audrey Johnson. Class 2 market lambs, be making your way outside of the show arena. These exhibitors are Josie Benjamin, Silas Cunningham, Audrey Johnson, and Cruz Cunningham.
You know, I think some differences that we're seeing here between the sheep. I remember seeing this one in showmanship. And, you know, young lady, I think there's just some things that with time we've got to learn to do and utilize our showmanship skills just a nickel better, because we finally got his front feet up underneath him right there, and that finally showcases that sheep's elevation and extension and all the things that I like him for. Class winner's a white-featured, long-necked, short-bladed sheep that I really like in terms of his athletic body shape. He's the hardest touching, and they should be really, really lean touching at this point in time. They're lightweight market lambs, but he carries back into a really nice width progression, like the standing set of his hind leg, better than the sheep that comes out in second. He gets a little easy here on his show side right pastern, maybe when he gets out and travels, but I like that sheep's elevation, the shortness of his blade, his bottom side symmetry, and just a little bit more of an exotic look there from the side. Young lady, we just got to work on getting him shown just a nickel bit better, and I think that'll maximize that sheep's potential there in the long term. Young man sheep that comes out in second, that's the moderate, kind of boxy, big-footed, dense skeleton sheep that, and in my opinion, resembles more that of a show steer or a show bearer, just the bulk and spread he carries through the center portion of his body. He's big in terms of his back. He's stouter out through his upper pin set. A little straighter there in terms of his front knee and foot, a little tighter there in terms of his hip and hock, a little rounder there in terms of just his front end in general, and a conventional kind of compact sheep that I don't see with necessarily the same amount of maturity as the sheep that we just discussed. The young lady sheep that comes out in third relative to the sheep that's going to round out the class, bigger legged, better in terms of its neck attachment and better in its bottom side symmetry, like that one's extra flexibility to its hind leg. It's kind of a double-edged sword. Maybe wants to camp its hind leg up underneath of it ever so slightly, splay out on its front feet, and doesn't just read with the same genuine muscle tone and dimension there from its loin back as the sheep that we just discussed. The young lady sheep that rounds out the class, big outline, long-bodied, long measuring sheep, lateness and maturity, extremely lean and high cutability, little frailer, a little bit narrower at the ground. We've got to open that one up in terms of the base of its skeleton, give it a shot more power and muscle. 4 really exceptionally high-quality sheep here to kick off your Market Lamb show. Let's give these exhibitors a big round of applause.
Congratulations to our Class 1 Market Lambs. First place, Cinder Shaw. Second place, Lorelei Cunningham. Third place, Lorelei Cunningham. And fourth place, Lindley Jarman. Entering the arena at this time is Class 2 Market Lambs. These exhibitors are Josie Benjamin, Silas Cunningham, Audrey Johnson, and Cruz Cunningham. I need Class 3 Market Lambs to please be making their way outside of the show arena. These exhibitors are Jennifer Sullivan, Paige Wiles, Elizabeth Hauserman, and Jennifer Sullivan.
Walked up to the young lady, and I'm not going to make any excuses for her, but I said, not a showman sheep, eh? He wants to be a knothead, and that definitely doesn't help. But, when she finally gets him stuck, and it doesn't take too long to notice, and I'm not just talking about the big fuzzy legs. I'm talking about that sheep's athletic body shape and just the way that he's built in proportions here from the side. That's a high-quality sheep, whether he's cooperating or not. Big bone, big-footed, big forearmed, like the shape and turn out the backside of his blade and the roundness to his center rib cage as much as anything. The stoutest in his upper pin set and the most outer leg shape that he's got here from the side. If I could, I'd maybe bulk him up just at the base of his forerib just a little bit and maybe shorten him just a smidge there in terms of his blade and lay his shoulder back into him a little bit flatter and obviously give him a little bit better attitude. But other than that, I think a really high-quality sheep to go ahead and kick things off. I think a sheep that comes out in second has really got a nice shape and spread there in terms of the dimension of his rib cage. I like the base of his forerib in a comparative sense, pound for pound, probably than the class winners. Really aggressive, really lean, high cutability. Young man does an excellent job of getting embraced. He's a little too frail, a little too straight off both ends, tighter there in terms of his rear pastern, a little rounder there in terms of his blade, and just doesn't give me the same image of quality as the sheep that we previously discussed. But from a terminal perspective, that's a high-quality Market Lamb to stand in second. The young man that comes out in third, but the natural's got a lean, long-bodied, late maturing sheep, shorter in terms of its blade, kind of like that one's flank line there from the side. Little extra set to its hind leg, though. Gets a little bit weaker and rounder there in terms of its dock. And of the top three, that one's the narrowest in terms of his chest floor, the flattest in terms of his forerib, and the most washed out over his hip-loin hookup. Young lady's sheep that rounds out the class, smoother blending, stronger in his spine, leveler in terms of his hip, like the standing set of his hind leg posture a little bit better there. He's the compact, low-performing sheep. It's a little lower in terms of his neck attachment. Needs to be fixed there in terms of his breastplate. A sheep that, again, we just got to soup up in terms of power before we can move him up any higher. Congratulations to all those exhibitors. Really nice class of Market Lambs.
Congratulations to our Class 2 Market Lambs. First place, Audrey Johnson. Second place, Silas Cunningham. Third place, Cruz Cunningham. And fourth place, Josie Benjamin. Entering the arena at this time is our Class 3 Market Lambs. These exhibitors are Jennifer Sullivan, Paige Wiles, Elizabeth Hauserman, and Jennifer Sullivan. Class 4 Market Lambs need to be making their way outside of the arena. These exhibitors are Kristen Sullivan, Benjamin Florence, Tanner Perrin, and Kendall Jett.
There isn't a perfect skeleton necessarily here amongst this set either, but at the top end of this class, I think that the young lady sheep just wins on the basis of being the one that's the most genuine in terms of his rib cage. He's the squarest up high, the biggest in terms of his loin edge, and I think that that sheep, again, just probably blends with a little bit more look and presence and proportionality here from the side. And then, while again, his skeleton and the basis of his joints, he probably needs to be just a little bit more flexible off both ends, and he's a little shorter in terms of his hip. I think if that sheep's top line stays more composed, and I think he offers a more consistent look of balance, just want to pick him up in his front end and make him more loose off both ends of his skeleton. Young lady's natural sheep that comes out in second, extremely lean, extremely high cut ability. Wants to run uphill. That sheep's probably just a little bit more elevated and later maturing in terms of his kind. Like his extension, like the sleekness of his neck, and the way he ties into the top of his shoulder. He does does have a more expressive upper pin set than our class winner. He's just a little flatter and drier at the base of his rib cage, a little extra set in his hind leg as he gets out and goes and wants to fight the young lady. I think it kind of just personifies he's a little too straight in terms of his shoulder and knee, a little awkward and round and sharp in the set of his hip, hock, and hind leg. Two really nice two sheep at the top of the end of the class, though, that are very respectable. Young lady sheep that comes out in third, what separates 3 and 4. This sheep's just a nickel smoother blending. A little bit, in terms of my opinion, a higher percentage sheep that's stouter boned. I like the collectedness of this one's just, again, side view profile. We can finally get that one stopped and pulled together. I think that sheep just reads with a little bit more bulk and true power and bloom on it in comparison to the sheep that we're going to round out the class with. This sheep needs to be picked up in terms of his chest floor. He needs to be just a little bit more genuine there in terms of his mass and the dimension and punch he has through his center body. Strengthen him on his rear pasterns, maybe give him a shot more flex to his hock. The young man sheep that rounds out the class is extremely elevated, like that one's collectedness of spine, the squareness out through its hip and loin edge, standing set of its hind legs, not too shabby. Need to see that one better in terms of the progression of its flank line. Need to see it opened up and maintain more true dimension there through the base of its skeleton from there up. Congratulations to those exhibitors. Really nice class. Give them a big round of applause.
Congratulations to all of our Class 3 market lambs. First place, Jennifer Sullivan. Second place, Elizabeth Hauserman. Third place, Paige Wiles. And fourth place, Jennifer Sullivan. Entering the ring at this time should be our Class 4 market lambs. These exhibitors are Kristen Sullivan, Benjamin Florence, Tanner Perrin, and Kendall Jett. Making their way outside of the show arena at this time should be our Class 5 market lambs. These exhibitors are Joshua Florence, Tanner Perrin, Ellie Fields, and Ava Korsmeyer.
If you would like to consign your animal for the sale trailer is open now. If not, you have until an hour after the conclusion of the market show to still consign your lamb. Also, if you would like to take your lamb home, please let Christy or Emma know. They will be going home tonight after the conclusion of the market goat show. Again, please let Christy or I know if you are going to plan to take your goat home or your lamb home.
Saw him when he came through the ring, and he's not just the most exotic-looking sheep out there as far as lines and angles. That's a very complete class winner. I love his height. I love his touch. That's a round-bodied, big-footed sheep that's got a lot of genuine mass and spread from his shoulder back. He's easily the most genuine at the base of his skeleton, and it really just lays the foundation from there on back. Could he be picked up in terms of his front end and maybe shortening his blade length, attached a little bit higher at the top of his shoulder? Yes. Want to settle him, and the young lady does a good job of showing it out of him. He does want to work up just a little bit in the middle of his spine. He's a little shorter in terms of his hip. But other than that, I think all the parts and pieces on that particular sheep fit. Extremely smooth blending, awesome touching. He's the class winner for terminal merit, and he does it with the most quality. The young man sheep that comes out in second, I do think that it is really smooth in terms of his blend from the side. I like the collectedness of his top line. I think what really separates 2 and 3 is this sheep just has a more natural presence. His neck set, his front end posture, and the way the young man gets him shown and set up, that's just a more completely good-looking, balanced sheep here from the profile. Between 2 and 3, it's a wash on skeletal width. I think this sheep shares some of the same issues as the sheep we're getting ready to discuss. He needs to be cracked open down low. He needs to be tighter in terms of his hide. He needs to be rounder in his body and come out with more definition and stoutness there from behind. The young lady sheep that comes out next does have those things in terms of progression of width. I think there's a shot probably more muscle volume on this particular sheep than the one that we previously discussed. I like this one's body shape. I like the way this one blends. Just from the side, I think that sheep's a little bit lower in terms of his front end. Wants to get a little just awkward and lazy there in terms of his neck in terms of her neck attachment. Flatter in terms of its hip and stifle. A sheep that, again, we've just got to make just a little bit better there in terms of its presence and presentation from the profile. The leanest, highest cutability sheep rounds out the class that the young man's got. Like this one's the definition, like this one's expression, in terms of meat animal shape and value. That one's got a world of good. Big boned and big footed there at the ground. He needs to be reorganized from a skeletal perspective. He's tighter in his spine, tighter in his hip loin, awkward off both ends of his skeleton. Just got to see that sheep get out and go with a little bit more athleticism and coordination. 4 really nice sheep there. Congratulations to those exhibitors. Let's give them a big round of applause.
Congratulations to our Class 4 Market Lambs. In first place, Kendall Jett. Second place, Tanner Perrin. Third place, Kristen Sullivan. And in fourth place, Benjamin Florence. Entering the ring at this time is our Class 5 Market Lambs. These exhibitors are Joshua Florence, Tanner Perrin, Ellie Fields, and Ava Korsmeyer. Making their way outside of the show arena should be our Class 6 Market Lambs. These exhibitors are Tegan Tislin, AJ Cunningham, Abby Fields, and Kendall Jett.
I don't mean to let the cat out of the bag, and I'm not going to necessarily just, absolutely go ham here, but golly, I wish that sheep's spine was better. Big time, because when that thing walked in the ring, I mean, he has got monster legs, huge forearm, love his neck set. He is paper thin hided. Really good there in terms of his hind leg posture and again, the set of his knee and front foot. But he will never, ever, ever relax his spine. And to my surprise, when I got up there to handle that sheep, I think he handles hard and lean. I don't think he handles as square. And it's true in terms of his muscle shape as I was expecting. He's a little bit rounder in terms of his muscle pattern, even the way that he grips out the backside of his shoulder. And he's a little washed out there in terms of his loin. But in terms of making a sheep that looks like a show sheep, has cutability, and does it with some extra features, I think that one's the place to go. The young lady sheep's got a sheep here in second. Like his extension, like his neck attachment, he actually squares up back behind his blade better than our class winner does. Like the standing set of his hind leg, he gets washed out over his loin. A sheep that, as he gets kind of stretched out, really just kind of accentuates. He's a little bit longer bladed, a little bit more mature in his body shape. Doesn't necessarily have the same fill over his hip loin hookup that I'd like to see. Need to be square about from hock to ground as he gets out and goes. Young lady, I know you had a look of disappointment on your face when I called you third. Don't be ashamed. It's kind of comparing apples to oranges here with the South Down relative to the crossbreds. That's a good South Down weather. He is bulky, opened up, really big in terms of his rib cage. Love the squareness over his loin. And he's probably comparatively the heaviest conditioned of the top three sheep, but he's not out of bounds compositionally, and he's still good in his neck attachment, still dense at the ground. Love his outer leg shape. Little straighter about his hock, wants to run downhill, and he's shorter and just compact in his build. We've got to make those things just a little bit better to make him more competitive relative to those two that we just discussed. The young man sheep that rounds out the class, lean and high cut ability, clearly an advantage in terms of lateness and maturity and extension to the sheep that we just previously discussed. Again, we've got to reorganize this one in terms of his skeleton, extra set to his hind leg, but still a rigid hock and a straighter shoulder. His attitude doesn't help. It just kind of makes everything look a little bit more discombobulated in terms of his skeleton. I think besides that, though, terminal-wise, it's a good way to round out this class of market lambs. Congratulations to those exhibitors. Give them a big round of applause.
Congratulations to our Class 5 market lambs. In first place, Tanner Perrin. Second place, Ava Korsmeyer. Third place, Ellie Fields. And fourth place, Joshua Florence. Entering the arena at this time is our Class 6 market lambs. These exhibitors are Tegan Tislin, AJ Cunningham, Abby Fields, and Kendall Jett.
Nice place to start here in your market lambs. I really like this sheep's extension, and again, just the way his blades laid into him here, especially from this three-quarter view, the roundness of his rib cage and the turn out the backside of his blade. I think from his hip loin forward, that one definitely is probably my favorite in terms of touch, tone, and handling quality. Like the standing set of his posture of his hind leg and the levelness of his hip. He's the flattest in terms of his upper pin set compared to the initial trio here. He needs to be better and just looser hinge there out of his hip and hind leg, and the way that he travels out of his rear skeleton. Need to see him just a little bit leveler, flatter loin edge laid into that sheep. And if you could, maybe just give him a shot more lower leg and twist. But I do think presentation, freshness, quality-wise, that one just hits me like a market lamb that's on target in terms of composition, and that's ideally what sorts 1 and 2, 100% is composition. Young lady, I'll be honest with you, I like your Southdown ewe. I think that she's a really nice sheep in terms of body volume, and I think she's got a world of good as far as squareness and body shape and dimension. I think that sheep just grows on you the longer that you stare at it. Again, some classic Southdown things that we're battling, a little longer there in terms of its blade, wants to run downhill. But I'll tell you what, that one just doesn't have the athleticism and the freshness in terms of composition. And if I'm speaking truthfully to you, that one reads more like a breeding sheep and less like a market lamb. Just handles too fat over or fore rib, and I've got to make a call compositionally. That sheep's just not good enough in that regard. But a really high quality Southdown ewe to stand there in second, like that one's lower joints and skeleton. Young lady sheep that got loose there at the beginning of the class, I think that one's neck attachment and just sheer power and dimension out through its upper pin set and stifle is the best of the top three. That one is explosive from behind in terms of its outer leg shape and you know, just how creased up that one is. Hard handling. Sheep that's just a little bit longer and coarser there in terms of his shoulder relative to his body and just his stature. That's a frailer featured sheep that's awkward in the use and the travel of his skeleton. Need to see that sheep balance up a little bit better and just blend a little bit better there. Gets a little rougher there in terms of his top line. The young man sheep that rounds out the class has got an exceptionally good wedge up high. That's the leanest, highest cutability sheep. Deep in terms of its twist, like this one again in terms of its outer leg shape here as you step in behind the sheep. I think that one's just a little flatter in terms of his rib cage and forerib. He's tighter about his heart. He's frailer in terms of his feature. His skeleton needs to be reorganized there once again. Frailer and awkward with a little just extra set to his hip and hind leg. A plainer patterned sheep there to round out the class. All four of them, though, have a world of good. Completely different there. Kind of a mixed bag class. Congratulations to those exhibitors.
Congratulations to our Class 6 Market Lambs. In first place, Tegan Tislin. Second place, Abby Fields. Third place, Kendall Jett. And fourth place, AJ Cunningham. Entering the arena at this time is our Class 7 Market Lambs. These exhibitors are Abby Fields, Ava Korsmeyer, Rowdy Etling, and Ashlyn Burwinger. Class 8 Market Lambs should be making their way outside of the show arena. These exhibitors are Tegan Tesland, Elizabeth Hauserman, Hauserman, Rowdy Etling, and Rita Etling.
I think it's relatively instinctual to go ahead, not extinctual, that's what the dinosaurs were, instinctual. think it's relatively instinctual to go ahead and use the young man up here in the orange-colored shirt to go ahead. I think this one's pattern, proportionality, build quality, silhouette, however you want to talk about balance on this sheep. He's just the best in this particular class in the way that he's assembled and put together from the side, from his blade length to his hind leg posture. And then on top of it, he probably handles with just a nickel fresher a nickel fresher rack shape than I was probably anticipating. He's got more than enough power to suit this particular judge. Congratulations to that young man. What separates 2 and 3 is just probably a little bit more impression of a show weather for the second place sheep. Longer in terms of his neck attachment. Like to see him tied a little bit higher into the top of his shoulder. Tighter hided sheep that's lean and high cutability. Little shallower and tighter there back into his flank. Awkward and rounder in terms of his hip and hind leg construction. I want to drive him up there in terms of his chest. But still, I think that sheep's just elevation and just kind of eye-catching features in terms of leg wool and hide and presentation, coupled with the fact that he's high cutability and extended up front, just kind of draws me to him initially over this particular sheep that's going to be third. The young lady sheep that comes out next is wide-chested, bold-bodied, big out the backside of its blade. I like this one, just from a terminal perspective. And if you're going to talk about product potential or anything relative to muscularity, I think there's a lot of good things here that we can discuss on this particular wether. He's rounder in terms of his hip. He's longer in terms of his dock. A little extra set to his hind leg. He wants to buckle and quiver there in terms of his front knee and foot. And I need to see that sheep again just probably balance up a nickel bit better there from the side. Young lady Southdown wether that rounds out the class. Smooth blending, nice hind leg posture, like the angle to that one's knee and front foot and the collectiveness of his spine. I think his proportionality standing still, it just as good as anything. Level in terms of his top line. That sheep is smooth blending, but at the same time, I think it's due in part to a little bit of extra condition. I think a wrinkly hided wether that relative to our contemporaries just needs to be better and freshened up from a composition perspective. 4 really, really good sheep there again. Congratulations to those exhibitors.
Congratulations to our Class 7 Market Lambs. First place, Rowdy Etling. Second place, Ashlyn Burwinger. Third place, Ava Korsmeyer. And fourth place, Abby Field. Entering the arena at this time is a Class 8 Market Lambs. These exhibitors are Tegan Tislin, Elizabeth Hauserman, Rowdy Etling, and Reed Etling. Making their way outside of the arena at this time needs to be all first and second place class winners. First place, Class 1, first place, Cinder Shaw and Lorelei Cunningham. Class 2, Audrey Johnson and Silas Cunningham. Class 3, Jennifer Sullivan and Elizabeth Hauserman. Class 4, Kendall Jett and Tanner Perrin. Class 5, Tanner Perrin and Ava Korsmeyer. Class 6, Tegan Tislin and Ashlyn Burwinger. Class 7, Rowdy Etling and Ashlyn Burwinger. And all third places need to be getting ready in the barn.
Really nice sheep up here towards the top end, and really a nice pair or trio of sheep. I think the young lady sheep that rounds out the class is an exceptional market lamb, but there's just three of them that resemble more of a show sheep. And to me, it's the skeletal differences in the class winner that goes ahead and does so and wins. I like the looseness of his skeleton, the length of stride, his hind leg posture, the levelness out of his hip. And then he still handles right in terms of being inbounds there, cutability-wise. I want to see a bigger loin edge. I want to see a bigger upper pin set. But other than that, I think that's the best sheep in terms of the way that he's assembled relative to his contemporaries. The sheep that comes out in second, I think that's a lean, hard-touching, high cutability, whether big in terms of his forearm and foot. I like his body shape and his athleticism, his outer leg shape, and the definition that he works throughout his muscle pattern. Again, he's too straight and coarse and opened up about his shoulder up front. Too short and tight in terms of his hip and hock. Need to see him be able to be more athletic out of his rear skeleton before I'm comfortable switching that pair. Just reads a little bit too more mature up front. The young man sheep that comes out in third. I actually like this sheep's standing hind leg posture quite a bit. Exceptionally good in terms of his blend from the side profile. I like that sheep and how he handles out the back side of his blade over his rack. He has got muscle. I like this sheep, again, just in terms of cutability and terminally. When it comes down to balance and build, he's the longest bladed of the top three. He's the flattest in terms of his upper pin set of the top three. That sheep doesn't want to cooperate. He reads the most concave in terms of his forerib and over his hip loin hookup. I've got to see that sheep balance and just be more genuine in terms of his body shape and athletic design all the way through. The young lady sheep that rounds out the class, the leanest, the highest cutability, the longest body, the longest measuring. I think that sheep is good in terms of his maturity pattern, like his extension. And in terms of balance, I don't think that sheep is any slouch at all. And in fact, he may be the most elevated of any in this particular group. That sheep's just the narrowest and flattest and hardest in his rib shape. I've got to see that sheep just come with a little bit more power and dimension before I'm comfortable moving him up a spot. Congratulations to those exhibitors. Let's give those market lamb people a big round of applause.
Entering the arena at this time is all of our class first and second places. From Class 1, Cinder Shaw and Lorelei Cunningham. Class 2, Audrey Johnson and Silas Cunningham. Class 3, Jennifer Sullivan and Elizabeth Hauserman. Class 4, Kendall Jett and Tanner Perrin. Class 5, Tanner Perrin and Ava Korsmeyer. Class 6, Tegan Tislin and Abby Fields. Class 7, Rowdy Etling and Ashton Berwinger. And Class 8, Tegan Tisland and Reed Etling. I need all third place outside of the arena at this time. These exhibitors are Lorelei Cunningham, Cruz Cunningham, Paige Wiles, Kristen Sullivan, Ellie Fields, Kendall Jett, Ava Korsmeyer, and Rowdy Etling.
Well, you guys are probably getting tired of hearing me talk. And I know that probably some of you will double down and show in the GOAT Show this evening. So I'm going to go ahead and try to keep my comments as brief as possible. But if you're standing ringside, please give the sheep committee and all the people that have helped run the show a big round of applause. I think this has ran exceptionally well and smooth. I appreciate them asking and giving me the opportunity for me to be able to come out here and evaluate today. It really means a lot. Not too far of a drive to look at some quality livestock. And really, I'll tell you what's made the biggest difference in the world is the atmosphere of this particular county fair. There's sometimes, I'm going to be honest with you guys, I've judged at a handful of shows, and even at some bigger shows, it's like judging in a morgue. Nobody claps, nobody does anything. And so I really, really appreciate just you all embracing the county fair season, showing up for these kids, clapping for every kid. It's a bigger picture because in 100 years, I'm not going to be here. I'm not going to remember what sheep I used to win at the Clermont County Fair. That's not minimalizing the win today, but the big picture is that we made better young people, we made a better culture, and we definitely built a better community around a county fair because those still matter in this particular day and age, and I appreciate each and every one of you coming out for your support. I'm not going to talk the sheep by class. I've just got one more thing to say, and I'll go out here and get you a top 5, but I'd like to go ahead and thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ for all the opportunities that he's given me to be able to travel around the country and look at livestock, to be able to teach young people. And the crazy thing about it is it doesn't really matter if you were first or last today. There's enough Jesus to go around for everybody. So know him, love him, because he already loves you. That's all you got to do is go ahead and take him at his word and respect that. But without further ado, I'll go ahead, get you a top 5. Give these kids a big round of applause. Give your show a big round of applause. It's been a pleasure judging here at Clermont County this morning.
Congratulations, Grand Champion Market Lamb, Rowdy Etling. Entering the arena is Avery Korsmeyer. Congratulations, Reserve Champion Lamb, Aubrey Johnson. Entering the arena at this time is Cruz Cunningham. Congratulations, 3rd overall Market Lamb, Tegan Tisland. We need Rowdy Etling entering the arena. Congratulations, 4th overall Market Lamb, Rowdy Etling. Congratulations, 5th overall Market Lamb, Tanner Perrin. Congratulations to all lamb exhibitors. You have 1 hour to sign your lamb up for the sale.